Because sometimes when international investors think about hedge funds, they think about offshore structures. But in Brazil, not only in Brazil, but also in the whole Latin America, there are only 120, about 120 offshore funds. But in Brazil, we have 4,000 local hedge funds. They are called the multi-mercados. The advantages, of course, they are denominated in reais, so if the international investor wants to have exposure to the currency, is a good vehicle. Other than that, they have a daily NAV, they are transparent, so you can see the line-by-line positions through the internet, sometimes with 90-day delay, sometimes with 180-day delay. But an international investor that pours a lot of money into these funds, they will have the ability to have exposure to all the risk factors on daily basis and weekly knowledge about their line-by-line position. So it is a pretty good vehicle, very well regulated. All the documents are also posted on the internet. Here in Brazil, all the functions are segregated, being the investment manager, the administrator, the custodian. They have auditors. In general, the big five companies that made auditing. So it's a very solid structure. We don't have any single case of fraud here in Brazil, and I believe in Latin America. During the crisis, I didn't see many gates, restrictions, redemptions, side pockets. I know from my experience only 2 funds with restrictions on redemptions, but not gates.
That was 2 funds out of 4,000, right?
2 funds out of 4,120, because these 2 funds are offshore funds. Related to Latin America, one of them is based here in Brazil, is asset-backed loan fund, sold only to international investors, and the other one is also related to credit, based in Miami. So these are the only funds that I noticed with some trouble. So, but other than that, we had a great history during the crisis in terms of the whole asset management industry in Latin America, not only in Brazil. The drawdowns were totally manageable, and also the big thing is that last year they recovered very fast. So there are lots of Brazilian funds like with numbers that are above the high water marks. There is a kind of thing that is difficult when we think about the global hedge funds. So they are collecting fees again. They have capacity of maintaining their teams. They are growing. Also, pension fund industry now is allowed to invest more heavily on the Brazilian multi-mercado funds or even abroad. That is creating also liquidity and conditions to these funds to continue to grow.
And do you see also international investors going directly into the local domestic multi-mercado funds now? Does this happen?
Actually, it's happening, but slowly, this stage. I believe that in the future it may happen with more volume. A lot of international investors, in general, they are doing their own managed accounts, being offshore or onshore, so they are creating their own vehicles. But I think as Brazil is going towards a process or being more open in terms of inflows and outflows, this will be a reality. But so far, I think that this is a small portion of the whole volume of the industry.
Otavio, what are some of the recent developments in Brazil when it comes to capital markets and new vehicles?
It's a very interesting process that now Brazil is going very fast to become similar to the US market. So private equity funds are being created, and the old ones are like collecting a lot of money with the old structure or new structure. Credit funds, a lot of asset-backed securities are being launched. Investors now, mainly local investors, are like exposed to longer durations in terms of their fixed income instruments. They are buying all kinds of real estate related funds or vehicles because we have some time of debt related assets that are good for taxations because an individual here in Brazil can buy without any type of taxation with these real estate products. So it's a kind of thing that the government is promoting and incentivizing. Also, the credit side is creating new products, being on the agricultural side and also in the consumer side. So a lot of packets of loans, a lot of new instruments are being created right now, and the Brazilian SEC, the CVM, is allowing the creation of these new vehicles. So I believe that in the future, the market here will be very close to the US market in terms of variety of products and exposure to certain risk factors. Other than that, many companies are coming to the market through the normal IPOs or even very small companies. Now the Bovespa is creating a mechanism in order to allow companies with between 50 million reais and 250 million reais of revenues to go public. So these incentives will create another type of market for private equities to interact with small companies, and other than that, permit to have conditions to these small companies to grow and maybe in the future to be an important player in their sectors. So it's a kind of transformation that is going very fast. I believe that even though Brazil has still some problems related to reforms that needed to be done, and some problems related to infrastructure that in the future will create problems with the inflation. But all the good conditions are here. So for an international perspective, I think these big pockets like pension funds and private banks should come and to interact the management of the big companies, the asset managers, and touch and feel, because it's impossible to, even though we are here trying to send a good message, I think for me, from my perspective, the best way is to come and see and how things are going and how developed the market now is.
Investors should come down and see for themselves.
They need to come and see how organized the market is. Of course, there is populism here, bureaucracy, corruption, but these are kind of things that are being diminished in terms of importance. So I think it's good. For example, for you, I think you must have a totally different perspective from another German people.
Yes, yeah, because I've been here now 5 times.
5
Yeah.
times. So, but you know the manager, you know the reality. You've been participating in many seminars, so you know that here there are conditions to make money. Of course, with some types of worries and some kinds of protection, but I think
There are opportunities.
a lot of opportunities.